Hello? Hello? Hello?
Test. Wow.
Your voice sounds so much better than mine.
What? Oh, it's must eating this thing. Hi.
Soll ich machen?
Yeah.
Okay, we will wait for the pink guy to sit down. Hurry up.
No,
We're only waiting for you
take
here.
your time, everyone. Take your time.
Okay, hello and welcome to our art panel. We are Equestria Stories, Think Pink and Naysayer. Yay! And today, Naysayer will take the hour we got from the GalaCon 2017 to show her artistic skills, how she does her art only with Adobe Photoshop and a mouse. That means no tablet and nothing else. If you have questions, feel free to raise your hoof or hand, whatever you have in reach, to let us know. We will interrupt everything just to pay attention on you, but we will also leave 5 minutes at the end for some leftover questions. We're both extremely nervous, and our English is very broken, so please excuse that, but aside from that, we're good.
Yup. Okay. I must find my start. I start with the lines, of course. You can do the lines in different ways. Normally, I draw this at the moment. Normally, you have was heißt das? Sketch. Normally, you have a sketch. Oh God, what name was it? This is not such a good one, but whatever. Normally, you can draw with a tablet. I do it like this, just with the mouse out of my head. But you can also draw with a tablet. This is your choice. We begin with the lines. This is just
Rough.
just a rough sketch, but we want to have clear lines. And I use the problem is I just have the program in German. I have no idea what the English names are.
In German is a pencil tool.
Pencil tool?
Yes,
Sure.
we just call it the pencil tool.
Pencil tool, whatever.
And if you wonder, that is a Discord not for our running comics on DeviantArt, but our Patreon comic.
Oh, whatever.
Wink, wink.
No. So make sure, I use it, you will see it. I use it like this. You will see it. You have to use the rubber band on. It must be on, otherwise you have just this. You can just draw a line point by point, and this makes sense in my style. So use the rubber band, then you can use this like that. You can scratch it down, up, and so on. As you can see, I draw through these lines. I show you later. It's a bit better if you do it, in my opinion. Du kannst gerne was mit dazu sagen.
It's especially for our comics, it's extremely helpful when we trace vectors from the show, because you can actually see where the lines goes, where the anchor points are, and compared to traditional art, it's extremely awesome to be able to change the lines the entire picture long, as long as you haven't filled the actual anchor point lines in. We can make it bigger or shorter. Those who were here in the beginning saw the pony Naysayer drew, and she just shrank the entire body without any problems. If it would be traditional art, the picture would be already, well, waste.
So, moment. This is just a sketch. I have a full picture I show you later. I just want to show you how to do the lines. You can do it on many different ways. There are so many ways. If you want to do a vector, then you can make the line thicker. Let me see. For example, one very important thing. It's very important for my style to use layers, different layers, so you can draw over the other lines. And I show you. it's a bit
You
complicated.
never draw on the same layer as the sketch. Otherwise, you would just overdraw the other picture, but you want to be separated from the sketch.
Yeah, for example, this. And this line is very thick now. I would use such a thick line for a vector, but not
Original style.
Yeah, traditional style. So now I use it. What?
Remember, for a vector, your lines can never be thick enough, and for original style, it should be as slim as possible, depending on you want to color them in or not. Usually, Nasa does not color them in if she uses her original style on DeviantArt, so it's better they're really slim, so the pieces of the picture are still separated, but, well, almost not visible.
For example, this one. If I draw the line on the same layer, I have problems now because I want to erase this line. And if I would, I show you. If every line were on the same layer, then it does that. That isn't very good.
Usually, when we draw, I especially draw each and every line on a single layer, so absolutely nothing can go wrong. And if you have some training with it, it's just that you point anchor point, another anchor point, draw the line, see if it works, fill it in, and then with the key combination, directly the next layer.
For pony drawing programs, there are better programs than Adobe to do this, but I must say I'm totally used to Photoshop and wie wären die anderen Programmnamen nochmal?
There's, for example, and Ponyscape.
Ponyscape, yeah. In Ponyscape, you can do the line instantly with
a sharp edge.
Yeah, with a sharp edge. In Photoshop, you can also do it in Photoshop, but I must say it's not so good. Let me show you. You can do this like this. Mouse click right.
Yeah.
Sorry. And you can,
simulate a print.
Simulate print, and then you have, wonderful, or
if
not.
If it works, of course.
I guess I have forgotten something to activate, but I have no idea what at the moment.
The difference between Inkscape and a question.
I think it works actually pretty good in Illustrator, where you can make sharp edges.
That's true, yeah.
What we want to show is the difference between Inkscape and Photoshop. In Inkscape, you can actually set how sharp the edge is supposed to be, so you get it more or less in the vector style from the show. In Adobe, if you use the print tool, not only the edge, but the entire line will be sharpened. So if your line is not like a kilometer long, it will actually sharpen out the entire line. So that we have to correct each and every edge manually.
Yeah. Was war grob nochmal? Rough. I'm just doing it very rough, so it looks a bit strange, but normally it looks better. This is, for example, like I said, if you want to do vector style, because the vector lines are always very thick, you can also do it. Oops, that's too.
Another thing you can do if you draw traditionally.
Yeah, you can do, of course, just a bit thinner. This is if you want to draw traditional art, but what I very, very like is when you do... Ich habe das nicht hier auf diesem Ding, sehe ich gerade.
Oh, just for you to know, we actually didn't practice this presentation. We just thought we'd sit down and entertain you for an hour.
What I just realized now is that this version of Adobe Photoshop is another one than my Photoshop version at home. Normally you can do... Let me see. You can normally do the line very thin. Otherwise, we just use the normal line, but there are many ways to do it. But
what exactly do you want to show us?
Ich will das Ding schief machen. Ich will das... Ja, genau. Okay, we use the normal lines. Okay. Normally, I have such pictures. It's the same way. This is, that thing is just vector style.
This is
so-
what she drew in the beginning of the panel, but before she actually started. And as you can see, there's no
Oops.
sketch. It's just that Naysayer does not work actually with the traditional way of, sketching the pony body with circles or something like that, what you would see in other live streams or wherever you watch someone drawing. For her, she's just like putting it together from her point of view, like the body has to be a little bit wider, a little bit smaller. I'm absolutely not able to do that, but we trained this at home, and she drew an entire pony vector in like 2 or 3 minutes, and that's
not
skills.
that fast. That would just be a scratch.
It's a little bit, it's extra work to sharpen up the edges, something that Ponyscape would do automatically. The advantage we have from Adobe is one, we used to use it, and B, we don't have to convert it to other data formats or anything like that, and we can use all the filters directly in Photoshop.
So, moment.
Show the sharpening of an edge.
Yeah, moment. I just do a vector in the moment. Just one moment. Want to draw the line. So now I just did a vector, a layer just with the eye. You can see it like this. If you want to draw a layer, a vector. It's better to use, your layer like this with a white place, and just then you can. Wie heißt das?
Auswahlplatz. So to change the line into a selection.
Yeah, you can change the selection, so no line can draw over this line. This is very practical. I just use, red.
It is pretty good that ponies usually have gigantic eyes, so it's hard to make them actually too big.
Yeah, don't forget to do different layers, because you have the same problem otherwise. And will erase everything if you don't like it, or if you want to change it because it looks strange or whatever.
So adorable.
Totally. With this tool you can do very, very much. You can draw the lines. You can erase things if you want, or just nur ein Stück.
Only a piece.
Only a piece of it.
With this tool, we do everything.
Yeah.
It's for drawing the lines, for drawing the eyes, for drawing the eyebrows, the effects, everything we have to do, we do with this tool.
Yeah. For example, this place I selected now, and now you, instead of using it outside, you can change, or you can fill this.
Separate space.
Yeah, it's a separate space. You can fill it. So these are the lines. Have anyone question about the lines?
Some
Okay.
questions, everything about our lines, something. Because there's no difference between drawing an original piece of art, how we call it on DeviantArt, or a traced vector, or an original vector, as you can see there. It's every time the same. Anchor points, lines, you finish everything. The streaks in the main, usually the tail, body. The only thing we don't draw during drawing a vector original picture is the background. That's always in the end, because otherwise you would have like 10,000 lines at once.
Yeah. Backgrounds you should do separately and just fill in, for example. This is another thing why you should use layers. If I want to do a wood or pony wheel in the background, I can use this one and just, let me see, have I? I have some on my PC. Backgrounds, VPs. Jetzt habe ich natürlich nichts, wo ich was sehen kann. emptiest room
Best
ever.
room of all time.
The emptiest room ever. I don't know. I just take. What? For example, this one. I don't know. If I would just.
That's also drawn in Photoshop with the exact same style.
Yeah, this is, you can do all this in Photoshop, but this is another case. Whatever. So you can use this one. Can do it in the background. Of course, normally, when we do comics, for example, normally we don't use pictures as big as this one. I don't know how much pixel it is. Okay, 3,500, it's definitely too big. But normally you shrink that before you use the background. But if you use it, you can do it in the background. You can change the style, the size and everything. Good. So, moment. I guess I would use this picture for coloration. Okay, let me say. I would every time moment. Sorry, I'm really sorry. I'm a bit nervous. Sorry. It's better to use to use
Folders.
folders.
What, no?
Yeah, to use folders for your layers because you would find them much easier.
There's a question.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
I just wanted to ask, how do you try to use different lines into different layers? Do you use online?
Normally I have, here I have 4 layers. This, for example, this layer just have these lines. You can also do it like that. These lines, all the selected lines are on one layer, and you should go. You should
make sure that two lines that cross each other are not on the same line.
Yeah.
And to draw on separate layers, it's pretty easy. It's just that you draw a line, activate a new layer, and it's automatically selected. So as long as you go on and always control and N, I guess it is, a control shift and N, you create a new layer and you go on to create another one, another one, another one.
Yep. For example, this layer would go in this other layer. If you want to do a new layer, you just have to push that little icon. I don't. New layer.
Create new layer.
Create new layer, and then bam, you have a new layer. It's empty, of course, at the beginning, and then you can draw a new line on this layer, so you don't, hurt the other lines.
It's a pain in the plot if you realize that you started with coloring, with shading, and then you realize, oh, you want to change something, a little piece, and you realize, oh, I messed up and reduced all the lines, for example, on one layer. Because if you want to correct an edge, you have to really be careful that you don't correct other lines as well, or delete a part that you don't want to delete, or something like that.
Yeah, if you forgot to do a folder, you can also change.
Change? Yeah.
Nicht change.
Select.
Select. You can also select every layer. STRG.
Control.
Control and G.
Oh,
and then you have a folder with every layer in it. For the coloration, I always use a new folder with new layers because I just know, okay, here are my layers, here are the eye, here are the colorations. So, and it's very easy to colorate things with, I guess it's called the maze. In German it's Zauberstab, in English it's maze, I guess.
Wand.
Wand, excuse me, wand. Okay. One push. You selected every area. You have to be sure, you must make. Sag du das bitte mal, dass es immer geschlossen sein muss.
Oh yeah, if you use the wand tool, it's important that you only use closed areas. For example, if Naysayer would have forgotten a little piece of space between the ear and the neckline,
Or for-
it would select the entire picture.
Yeah, like this. Then you had everything, and this isn't what I want.
It's every time extremely funny when you're on a live stream and you're like vectoring like blah 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 and talking about everything, and you select and it selects the entire picture, and you're like, okay, where's the space? And you go like every line to find that little piece of 2 pixels.
Yeah, on this picture, it's very easy to see because there are not many lines. But this isn't all. These lines are on the very edge of the layer, and this isn't so good because in the result you will see.
Just show them. We show you how not to do it. If you just select
you have to look very close, but normally you can see the result. For example, I don't know. I just use this blue, and you will always see this line, and this isn't very nice. It looks. No.
I'm pretty sure you will see that later in another panel, the common drawing mistakes, because that is something you see actually pretty often on DeviantArt. When you see, check on other pictures, if you look closely, you often see that white outline, and you're like, yeah, you know how that happened.
And this is the main reason why I really would use layers, because you can do, was heißt Auswahl?
Selection.
The selection, you can make the selection wider.
Yeah, you have to expand the selection to prevent that white edge to happen.
Was heißt Auswahl?
Selection.
Selection, okay. The point is selection, and then change selection, and then expand. And then I would say this depends on how much, on how big your your lines are. I would say normal in thick lines, 3 or 4 on thin lines, and on thick lines, I don't know, 5, 6, 7.
You should check that it's not wider, that you don't expand it more than half of the size of the line.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
Yeah. This is a good point. If you have, for example, 30 pixels thick, then you can use, for example, 50. It's a good.
Otherwise, you're risking yourself to, on sharp edges, for example, when the 2 leg lines meet on the knee, that, for example, that if you expand it, that it overlaps to the outside, and you see that your color goes over your actual line.
So, and now, as you can see, now it goes over the line, but it will not hurt the line because it's another layer. It's under the layer. Make sure you always do the coloration layers under the line layers, because otherwise you have the same problem as I said before. You will hurt the line, like this, for example. This isn't what we want to do, so do a layer under these. Here's the line. One moment, I will it.
And especially for the coloration later on, it's very important that you put every color, if you want to make it easier for yourself, every color on another line. So later on you can add shadows and lighting effects, like light effects, as much as you want without thinking like, oh yeah, that shading, I want that on the leg, but not on the eyes, for example.
So, and as you can see now, you haven't the problem. It's a clear line, and you haven't hurt the line. This is under the
lines.
Yeah, under the lines. So
now we're getting to the more interesting parts of shading and.
I would for the coloration, because you want to do shadows after you colorate the picture. I would say do a new layer for every new era. Let me say it like that. I will show you why. So, when I say, okay, good, I want to draw the hoof, for example, I can say, okay, I select this one. This is much faster than to do it like with a wand and extend every single time. So you have just to do it Control and click on the layer. We will select automatically everything what's colored. And then you can, of course, and again, new layer, please. Then you can start with the shading. And with the shading, there are many, many ways to do it too.
What she's doing now is the shading of an original picture. If it would be a vector, it's just These
Yep.
are the legs which are farther away from us, so you just
Yeah.
shade it completely. This is now how she would color shade one of her original art pieces.
Yeah, if you just want to do a vector, it's enough to do this.
And done.
Yeah, it's done. And if you just want to do with normal shading, you can also use this tool. Like I said, this tool is the main thing. I must admit, it looks a bit complicated at the beginning, but it definitely isn't. You just need a week or something to, wenn überhaupt, just need a week to
get a feeling for the flow of the lines.
Ja. Das ist ganz schön verzögert hier, merke ich gerade. Ich weiß auch nicht warum. Normally I would draw with sharp edges. I just don't do it now. Normally I just haven't such a big point here. And the same thing like with the eyes. You can fill Fläche?
Space.
Fill space. I don't know how it's called in English, but you can fill space here. This is how to say it. If I just do it with 50%, it's transparent. When I would draw something in the background or something, it's you can look through, but it's a bit complicated. Just make sure you choose 100%, for example.
So what she has now done is there's no actual place where the shadows should be. There's no way to see it. There's no tool for that. It's just that you have to have an idea from what direction the light comes. Actually, usually the most common way would be from the left upper corner. So we know that she's holding her hoof up, so everything that's away from the light we will shade, and then just keep the shadows thick, give it enough space.
And as I said, it's not very clear now. Normally I wouldn't draw like this. This is just the normal standard you can use for coloration. You also can...
The first shadow step.
Yeah, one of the first steps, you can erase a bit of this. Normally, if you would use the eraser, you have a very sharp eraser which would erase everything like this, and this isn't what I want. So you can make it like a brush with these, very soft, and
so Fluss. Like,
Yeah, Fluss ist nicht river, aber
flow.
The flow. You shoot down the flow, and then you can make it like that.
I don't know that either. So I just learned.
It doesn't look very good here now. You have to. It's a bit. Let me say it. Let me show you another picture. Moment. Where is it? Welches ist denn jetzt das PSD? Yeah, it's very big. Sorry. For example, this one.
Just so you can see the difference between what she's drawing now and what you're able to do with it actually.
And this is what I meant. You can also do the lines very, very thin and with sharp edges. So, jetzt muss ich noch erstmal alles erasen. Einen kleinen Moment.
We actually planned to use this to present it on the GalaCon, but we decided to just submit it earlier on as we learned about the synopsis of the Discord and Fluttershy episode, because we were afraid that he will actually wear a Mad Hatter costume there. He did not, but we were like, nope, we will submit that first.
Yeah. Here is it. Okay. Moment. As you can see, I have very, very, very much layers here because it's very
But there's a lot going on in that picture.
Yeah, there you can also use lightning effects. It's the same way as you can use the shadow effects. Moment, please.
It's the same way. You decide where to put a shadow. You make the first one. Usually I work with several layers of shadows. The sharp edge we saw on the pony, And then like Naysayer, she uses the rubber tool, uses a softer edge and just soften it up. That is often when you go over the GalaCon and see all these really nicely done shaded pictures, you think like, how do they do that? And usually it's just the rubber tool with a soft edge. And if you go on the shadow, your picture will immediately look just like them. And
sometimes it looks more than it is. Yeah. You can also do it another way, but I must say it's not my favorite. You use the same tool as before.
pencil tool.
The pencil tool. Dauert so lang noch. For example, this one.
What are you doing exactly now?
Yeah, I want to show another style of shading. It takes a while because I don't know why, but the PC is a bit, the laptop is a bit slow here. Click on the right mouse button, then you can, Pfad.
The path outlet.
Nee, the Auswahl, Entschuldigung, die Auswahl.
The path selection. So she changed
Selection, the path.
She changed
These
the
three
selection.
things are the main.
Well, that is what you use mostly.
Yeah.
To create a selection, to fill a selection.
Yeah, and if you use this one, you can do. You can say, okay, for example, 10 pixels. Schnittmenge.
She's cutting off from the edge. She has the entire selection, and she's now cutting off what she wants from it.
Yeah, the very last of this, I take,
She
10.
softens the edge of 10. It's like using the rubber tool.
It better is 20 just to see it better on the better way. Now I have a soft selection. You can't see that here, but if I use, here. Normally it's a very sharp shadow on edge, and this is very soft because I soften it. And so you can do a very soft shadow, for example. You don't have to do it every time a sharp way. You can also do more than one. You can also say, okay, the layer, I just, the color is too dark or whatever. You can set the
opacity.
The transparency.
Opacity.
Opacity?
Yeah, Deckkraft.
Opacity, for example, 50%. And if you say, okay, I want to do more than one shadow, you can do another layer and can draw above this shadow.
Is there a time when you use a rubber tool for your shadows, like you make a sharp edge shadow and use a rubber tool instead of this way?
Normally, I always use the rubber because this tool, it's a bit difficult to use it.
So you just use the rubber tool because it's easier.
It's very complicated to explain. Normally, I would. It's easier for me. Maybe you have another opportunity. Yeah, opinion. Maybe you have another opinion on that, but for me it's easier to use it with the eraser because you can say, okay, the beginning of this shadow is more transparent than the rest. You can do it by yourself. If you use the tool like I have, you always have the same transparency.
Opacity.
Opacity. Yeah. And the same way goes with lightning effects, exactly the same way. You just use, of course, a higher and brighter color instead of a darker. You should, before you begin to shading the picture, you should say to yourself, okay, I don't know where I want to have the sun. If the sun comes from here, for example, then every shadow, I'm sorry, it looks stupid, whatever. then every shadow should be on the right side of the picture, and every lighting effect on the left. So you can select it, and this is what I said. Now you can select it with one click, Control, and on the picture, on the layer. So you have the whole area to draw again.
It's pretty easy, especially to go that way if you have like 20 layers of colors and you would just want to get to one and don't know where starts one, where starts not one. You just hold Control and click through all the layers, and you see like where the selection appears, and you know where you will easier find where to walk on. And it's the same way as with the shadows. You just choose the space where you want to have some lightening up, and choose a brighter color, and to see what impact it has on your picture. It's just a lot to do. If you have a picture like Discord, you go through all the edges which are late direction of the sun.
Yeah, you shouldn't start with Discord because it's very difficult.
You should probably show the final version of this Discord again, because there are all the shadows and lightning effects already on it.
Yeah, for example, this is layer from layer. So this is one. There you can see the lightning effects. It definitely makes it different with or without.
You see every single piece, every color, not only the colors, but it's very important that you, if you have, for example, his suit, that you put the sleeves on different layers than the actual coat he's wearing.
Yeah. It maybe is, it's very, very much layers, and sometimes it's a bit annoying, but it's better to do not every single shadow, but if you say, okay, I don't want, or I don't know if I just want to do it, or let it be like this later, so do a new layer, and if you say, okay, I don't like that, then one click and it's gone, it's better. Yeah.
Is there actually something you see on this Discord where you think like, how did she do that, and you actually don't know? Someone like, yes?
Don't know. This is, I don't know, if you draw like this, if you draw with your hands, you have your own style within it. If you draw with the mouse, your style is gone. You of course you have a style, but not that one if you draw with your hands. This is one effect. If you like it or not, it's your opinion, but yeah.
Your own style just disappears when you draw with the anchor points and the lines, because you may control the lines, you draw them out, you make them shorter, but you cannot just do everything with them, so a part of your own style is lost with it.
Yep.
If Nasa would draw this exact same Discord with her hand, you would see a hard difference between the original style, how I call it in DeviantArt, and her hand style.
Any questions?
There's another question.
Yep.
How do you determine the shadow and lighting on the liquids?
On the liquid, für Flüssigkeit von der Teekanne.
Moment. Was?
Wie du da entschieden hast, wo die Schatten hinkommen.
Oh,
Das ist eine gute Frage. Good question.
Good question. To be honest, I have no idea.
Yay, we went we have no idea.
This is your, you don't have to do it totally realistic. You can just say, okay.
It's more important.
When you draw water, it's better, or tea in this case. You can say, okay, just here one, make a bit space between it. Normally you can't do something wrong with it. Even if I choose to do the layer or the lightning effects on another place, it wouldn't look
It wouldn't make
here.
a difference.
It wouldn't make such a big difference. Yep. If you say, okay, I don't know, make them here. Oh, I'm sorry, it takes so long. I don't know why.
I think that the computer is just not used to be used that way.
Doch, das ist ja nichts. Ich verstehe nicht, warum das so lahm ist.
The general information about the colorization about liquids, like the tea here, is you don't have to make it right, you have to make it look good.
Yeah.
Because no one cares if it's correct. They look at it and see like, that's good.
I guess there are artists which studied to draw
If
like
you
this.
Citra, for example.
Yeah, Citra, for example, I guess he studied to draw it, and I guess there will be pictures, and he saw it or see it and say, okay, this is totally unrealistic. But normally, no one say, this is.
You see, just
Don't know.
just
this is wrong.
just to some soft wavy lines on
Yeah.
the liquid, and it gives it an impression of being soft. If you know you have Discord face, you select the edge of it, you make it white. It looks good. You think, yeah, that looks good. If you do that on the liquid, you would be like, yeah, that is definitely not a liquid. It's probably a statue he has just there.
Sorry.
And from going just straight through the color, you see that the white outline, and it gives it already an impression of being liquid, like it's actually
Yeah.
flowing down. But it does not matter.
It's
You
such
just
a simple effect. You just have to do it more than one. It's better. But normally, like I said, in my opinion, it can't look wrong.
And it's the same with the shadows. And instead of just putting one or two big shadows on it, she wanted to make clear that it flows. So she made the shadows long, and the normal colors is going deep. It goes in very deep as well.
Yep.
So you get a feeling of it actually flowing.
Yeah.
If you would make it now like a waterfall or something like that, you would just go the same way. You make some brighten up lines across the waterfall, and the color and the shadow going into each other, and you'd think like, yeah, that's moving actually.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another question.
So, apparently it's I don't think I described this, but how do your hands?
Oh, hands.
I don't. That's why I'm drawing ponies.
Okay. Normally, I draw everything out of my head, and this is exactly for hands very, very difficult. So if you have problems with drawing hands, I would say take your hand, make a photo out of it, and you can trace it. And many people are angry when you say, oh, okay, you trace, but I must say tracing is the best way to learn how the lines are going, how big everything is, where the things are going to. This is a very good practice for drawing things.
Most important is, especially for Discord's line paw, is actually just take a photo of your hand like you want it and just draw around it. It does not matter how bulky his hands looks in the end. It's Discord, just works. It's a little bit more difficult with his griffin paw or hand, whatever it's called, because it's sharper, but it's the same deal. You just...
the hands, especially for Discord, are very,
Does he has only 4 fingers on his claw?
The thumb is behind here. It's like this.
Yeah, on his griffin paw. On the claw.
Did I forget?
I think you forgot a finger.
What?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So
No.
now that
Really
it's so,
have?
and
I thought he had just 4.
no, he has 5 fingers.
Really?
Yes, of course. And the important thing is, no one actually noticed just because it's shaded looks good. So,
I don't
so
think
there's another question of someone I actually don't know.
he really have just 4? Sorry.
Yeah, well,
It's just everyone's opinion. I'm pretty sure I'm drawing wrong sometime or many time, whatever.
deal with it.
I'm pretty sure about this, but if if you draw something, you just draw it for you, not for others. I mean, you can draw for others too, but if you draw, you should do it for yourself and not for others. And if you like it, then whatever others say, okay, it's no problem, of course. And I got critic the whole time from things to do better, but this is how it goes. This is everywhere and every time. So it never end.
He has only 4 fingers on his claw.
Ha! Yay! Yeah. Yeah, ist so.
So there's another question
Yeah.
before he falls asleep.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about this thing called tracing. What exactly is
What tracing is, I can tell you. If you say, okay, for example, these are all traced pictures. Let me see it, or let me take it like this.
Just take it.
Ja, ich kann das ja nicht so. Moment.
It's what you do. You have a picture from the show, for example, the Discord. You put in. We showed you how to use the sketch. You have the sketch. You make another layer and just draw above it. So you redraw the existing picture.
This is the same thing.
And that's the reason why I call her style original style. For the Discord you see in the background with the teapot, it's absolutely not traced. It's original, and yeah, for vector comics on DeviantArt we use screenshots of the show, for example, to get the ponies right. For example, Silverlay often has body of Pinkie Pie or whatever, but in the end you just don't notice anymore.
I will show you.
More questions. We're almost done.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any recommendation how to build confidence about saying, okay, this looks good, even if it's not like anatomically correct? Because I often have this effect, I see a picture by someone else, and I'm like, oh, this looks great. And then I realize it's not really anatomically correct, but it looks great, and I wouldn't have had the confidence to say that if it was my own.
Before Naysage gives the professional answer, I will give the not professional answer. This feeling of, that looks so much better than mine. Mine looks like total horse apples. That feeling for most artists never goes away. It just does not go away. You will always find someone who draws better than you, and that gives you a kick of insecurity. Even if there were pictures I drew, I felt really secure about them. I was like, yeah, okay, that's good. And then I'm checking on Citra, for example, who's studying art, and like, oh yeah, mine's... And just give up on yourself. It's just to get confidence is just to go with it, what you have, that you have the confidence to submit it, and then just try the next time to get better and get better and get better. That is the way to develop confidence, in my opinion.
Ja, schließe ich mich so an.
Yes, I did something so right.
Yeah, and to tell you what it's tracing. For example, when I say, okay, I need this Discord for my comic, for example, then you could, of course, do it by yourself. You can draw it by hand or with a mouse or tablet or whatever. And tracing is if you do it like this. If you say, okay, good, I'm drawing line by line exactly this picture. I'm doing not by myself. I'm just redraw this picture.
We try, but the laptop seems to give up.
Yeah, I don't know what's the problem today with this thing, but whatever. This line is not my own line. Let me say it like this. This is I just redraw it.
I think they get it.
Yeah, and this is so-called tracing. And I started with tracing because normally I drew humans, and Discord is still very difficult to draw, and it's much easier and goes faster to trace it. But with the time you will learn, okay, this line has to go here, this line has to go there. And this
Let's get to the next question, because
Sorry.
I think this is pretty much...
Yeah, sorry, I don't saw.
No, there's a hand, yes.
How do you choose the colors to use in a picture? So in general, so that it fits well together.
Wie du die Farben auswählst.
Yeah,
you mean
colors.
like for clothes or backgrounds or something?
I work with everything. I
On
would-
the Discord drawing, that the clothes from Discord fit into the background.
Well, you always draw the clothes you theme like fitting you.
Yeah, sometimes it depends. One thing you have to make sure if you want to draw Discord with clothes, for example, you should take a color which is not so, let me say, powerful. Moment, I want.
The problem I often
Yes.
a problem I often see with colors online on DeviantArt, and I see a lot of DeviantArt pictures, is that sometimes the colors are just, well, in German you would say biting each other. You have
Yeah.
like the best example is a black and red pony. If you have a red pony, you don't put black clothes on it. It just does not work because the colors do not support each other. They go into each other. And here, for example, if you see the purple coat, you just see how you just can fill around with the colors as well. In Photoshop, you can just yes, I want to try a purple coat for him. You just make it purple. You see like it's too strong, so you soften it down to a more softer purple, and you see like it still does not work. So you check it green. It's mostly try and error until it.
It's not try and error. You can, if I say, okay, good, I don't like that violet or what it is anymore, I could say, okay, good, I would use, or it's too yeah, I don't know how to say it. If I say it's too violet, then you can fix the layer. You can also fix it. If you don't fix the layer and draw, you will overdraw it like this. And you can also fix the layer here, fix it, and then you should just change the color of the layer. The rest of this picture is already it's empty. Just the color here. And if I say, okay, good, I don't like the color, I would change it, I don't know, to, for example, green or something.
And they just see until.
Yeah, you can see. Oh my God.
You definitely
St. Patrick's
see
Day.
that does not work. That green.
Yeah,
that bright green.
yeah, it's not working, and sometimes I'm sitting hours and hours. Hours a bit overdoing it, but
So you're
minutes for minutes I'm sitting there and think, oh my God, which color, and you have to try, look if it's okay, if you see, okay, I like it or don't like it, yep. And then choose it or don't choose it.
About the confidence thing, another thing that I want to say is whenever I draw something original and I do not submit a lot of original art because I feel insecure about it, is a good advice I have is to finish your picture, oversleep it, and if you still like it, then you didn't mess up completely.
Definitely.
And if you submit it and you get negative commentaries and stuff, it's always important to focus on the good ones. It's like on our comics, we get between 20 and 100 comments. And even if there are 99 good comments, it's always that one negative one that draws you down. And you're just not allowed to focus on that. You have to read the good ones, answer to them, and get a feeling of that there are people who like your
I
art.
said, you must like it. It's your picture, and even someone disagree with you. Okay, reflection it, look, okay, is he right, is he wrong? Maybe he is right, maybe I just like it that way, and then choose what you want.
So we have a little bit more than 5 minutes left. You saw how we draw the lines. We fill in the colors, put on some shading, some light effects. Any questions left? There's a hand. Yeah. I'm happy about hands.
If you draw a picture, do you lay out what you want to draw? Will you draw the character first or first the background? I mean,
Every
so that
time.
it will fit together. I mean, you can start with drawing the character, for example, and then you have to find a fitting background, for example.
Normally you have a picture in your head you want to draw, okay, like this. I always knew, okay, with this picture I wanted to have either Wonderland in the background or Discord's Wonderland, whatever, Discord's realm. And I definitely know, okay, I want this realm in the background. But I always would say just first draw the character and then the background, because you can create the background after the...
Deutsch? Deutsch?
Ja, man kann das halt anpassen daran.
Oh, yeah, you can adapt. Yeah, thank you very much. You can adapt the background to the character.
Yeah.
The only difference I have when I work on the comics, especially for Apple Faction now with the comic style, is that I always draw the backgrounds first I need, because I often had the problem that I draw a background, I was like, oh yeah, that's Silhouette, she's walking, it's awesome, and I needed the castle in a specific angle, and I'm like, yeah, there is not that castle hallway in that specific angle, and I was like, had to put it all together, and it's clearly visible that it is freely put together, so I make the background and then choose the actual vector that goes with it.
Yeah. You, for example, sorry,
Another question.
I'm hurry. Yeah, I'm sorry. You, for example, draw Discord, just make a green, the grass, the background, and then, okay, it's a bit empty, so I draw a tablet too, and pie and everything. So you can change it after you're drawing the main character. It's easier in my opinion.
It looks important. It looks awesome, but it's actually just one line for the grass, and that's it. The rest is just purple mishmash. If you look closer, you see just it's one line for the grass, and that's it. That's the entire background.
It's just one line and one shadow. It's not very. It's
But it
not a
looks
big
good.
thing, but at the end it looks okay, I guess. Yes.
You want to change the angle of perspective a bit. Is there a trick on how to do this?
Yeah.
Or do we
There,
have to redraw the whole image?
there is a. You can do it in the end, but I wouldn't do it because the lines are, getting very. Moment.
You can.
You can transform it. It's definitely called transform, or I don't know, but just a bit, not very good. If I say, okay, I want to, I don't know why. For example, you can, it's stupid like this, but you can do it a bit. For example, if I want to Fluttershy more in the foreground and Discord in the background, you can do it like this. You have to cheat a bit. Now it's a bit.
Yeah, you see the hooves are not.
Yeah, it's look a bit disformed. You can, for example, but I wouldn't do this like that. When it's easier to do it with these lines. These are just, let me say, virtual lines. They are not already there.
You remember the anchor points and the lines.
Yeah. If you just have this line. It's not there. It's just a line, a visual line, and you can change it as often as you want. And there's no problem with the lines. They're not hurting.
Do I have your Discord pieces with you? The data with the
Nein, das geht auf dem Ding nicht.
Wollte ich auch. Well, actually, to answer your question shortly, you can try to fidget around, but in the end, you have to redraw. If you would like to have Discord from like that spinning around, you have to draw each single frame if you want it in good quality. And Nasa has not with it, but she has at home. She has a data with like 150 Discord pieces. It's different legs, different wings, different horns, different ears, and she's just like.
Yeah, like a puzzle.
And it's done.
And then you can change the perspective too, but you have to use. This is one good thing in Photoshop. You have to use these lines, these virtual lines. You can
if you save them.
You can save them, and in this version of Photoshop, it doesn't. It don't go. I don't know why, but normally Photoshop can do this, and you can use it. And like a puzzle, you copy paste. And then you can say, okay, I don't want it to do him like this. You can do it like that. You can
just draw the anchor points. Like if you have the fingers like that, and you want them actually do something like that, you just take the anchor points of the fingertips and show them together, and you have a complete different hand in just 1 second. And that's why she saves every piece.
For example,
separately.
this heart. I don't know. If you don't want it like this, you can don't know.
Is there another question before the time runs out? Because we're running out of time.
Okay.
Well, oh yeah, before I forget it, I wanted to say two things very quickly. You found a piece of card on a chair. This is a rabbit discount card for Pointy Pony. Just if you care to get one, you can get one for a discounted price. A lot of them, and probably get them in some comics. And another thing I want to say, I know I don't want to say it, but I want to thank our Patreons for supporting us, especially Frozen Droplet. Yay! He throws a lot of money at us. I had to say that. It's in my contract. Then thank you very much for being
thank
here.
you for being here.
We're
Yes.
open for direct or personal questions and enjoy the GalaCon. Yay!